I'm Catherine. I'm a Marxist. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative. And yeah, I've been an activist for several years. When I first started going to uni, a lot of the things I thought about the world began to change. The kind of ways that I thought that politicians were there and had some level of accountability and there was a democracy that existed under capitalism, I quickly began to think otherwise, and I think that this system is quite an unequal one. And that was, I guess, what started me down the road of becoming a Marxist and becoming an activist. Marxism is the premise that the people who create the world around us are ordinary workers who they're the reason that anything functions in society, from the hospitals to the bus system to who's stocking the supermarkets right now. And I think that it's totally achievable, and it's actually something that's a historical fact that those people are capable of running the world around us. It's just that right now we live under and are dominated by the interests of a very wealthy small minority who controls the way that wealth is produced in our society. So without them, I think that you could achieve human liberation. No one really thinks necessarily that they themselves have a role to play in mass struggle until they're confronted with that opportunity or that circumstance. In some ways, that can be the first protest that people become part of. My first big protest was against Tony Abbott and Chris Pine. They were trying to push through basically the deregulation of university fees. And I vividly remember catching the bus to go and join. I just remember thinking, like, I'm so glad I skipped my German class, but what am I doing? Like, I'd never been to a protest before. There is a truth to what people say, which is your first big protest, you realize, I guess, when you want to walk on the streets with hundreds of other people, you actually can. And it raises this question of democracy and, you know, how you experience the world around you in a really vivid way. So are you okay with the way that the world works? And if you're not, well, you should do something about it, because actually, well, how much longer do we have to struggle? How much longer do we actually have to try and change things?
So my first memory of performing was in kindergarten, and we did a performance of The Very Hungry Caterpillar. At the time, even though I had the main role, I was mad. I was mad I was not the butterfly, but look. I think a part of me's always wanted to do performing arts. I've just always been very drawn to it. Like, I started taking it seriously in year 10, and that's when, like, I moved schools, and I was like, okay, this is something I really want to start focusing on. I was so scared. Like, I think every sane adult was telling me that it's going to be the most difficult career to, like, do, and I need a backup plan. There's, like, moments where I'll be like, fuck, am I in the right, like, field? Or should I, like, change? But I can't do anything else. I'm not good at anything else. The best advice that I've received would be to trust the process. I don't want my career to just be like a phase, because it, like, my art isn't a phase. I would do theatre for free, like, for the rest of my life. It's not about the money, it's not about the fame, it's just like, that's my drive. Like, when you're on stage and you, like, do a scene and you're, like, in it, and then you finish the scene and you hopped off and you're, like, in the wings, and you don't remember what you just did. Like, you weren't acting. You're, like, there, and you, like, that, it's just such a surreal feeling to, like, know you actually dropped into it. And it just feels so good. It feels really good. Yeah. There are people who are going to tell you that you can't do it, but, like, fuck that. Do it. Like, create art, honestly. Art is the most human thing. I think I kind of got it. I think I said it. Yeah.
You've got to know history. You've got to remember what you've come through, what other people have come through to where you are now. And they've had to fight to get where they are, to where you're going to be tomorrow. It's all come from the people behind you.
My name is Barry Plunkett. My father's name is Kenrick George Plunkett.
The war started in about 39. Dad was called up. He joined the army, really. He wasn't called up. He joined the army. Yeah, Dad wanted to join the war because he wanted to do his bit for the world as much as he could. Our life changed a lot when Dad went away. It's just like losing a man, losing a piece of your life. We were lonely without him. So was Mum. Because there's 6 of us, 6 kids, and we all had to pull the weight, do our own thing, do everything that we were asked to do, with the exception of when we ran wild. It was hard on my mother because she had the 6 kids to look after and no support from anywhere at all. In those days you had yourself to look after them because everybody else was in the same boat. You miss your father. You really did. I missed the man all the time. My father was, he was a man that you would miss, like I do now. Right now talking about him. So, a family to me is important no matter what you're doing. In those times it's more important that you all keep together because you might not have a family later. I can only hope that I've done him proud, which not blowing my own thing, but I think I could have done the right thing. I got a good family, good grand and good kids of my own, good grandkids of my own, and good great-grandkids.
The first thing I organised was organising myself to go to the strikes, take the first step to like challenge myself and get on the train alone to go into the city for the first time and be in like a massive protest for the first time. I was always like holding myself back from going to a protest. And then I wanted to get more and more involved, and then researching, being like, well, if I'm going to do more, then I should know what I'm talking about. And be like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then because I'd done that research, I was like, well, I can't stop. And then I got involved with school strike. And then it got around to September 20 and that was announced as the next strike. And then I really got into it. And then, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I, like 3 months or 2 months before September, didn't know what a union was. Lead up to September 20, met the president of the ACTU. It's like, woo! I was doing my 3rd year of VCE, which I broke up. I did 3 years of VCE with no ATAR, and that's the only thing that meant that I could actually finish high school because of chronic fatigue. So I never took for granted that I was going to be like 18 even. And in the meantime, I'm making pots because I like it. I started doing pottery basically on a whim. I do really like things that are just like grounded and like connecting to the earth and it's very like physical, and you have to really just like focus on it. And it's just a really nice medium. It just resonates with me for some reason. It's like, what? I can eat my stuff out of this bowl. That's amazing. Doing VC was just like an energy sink. Activism isn't like that at all, though. It's actually like I forget what it's like when I've taken a break and then I come back into it. It's just so like, it just makes me come alive. Like the adrenaline is just like boom. You have to find a way to hold on to these terrible injustices in the world in a way that isn't going to break you emotionally, because it can be so incredibly confronting. You have to be able to hold on to it and know that you have the power to do something about it.